All right, and we are live. How's it going, home theater fans? My name is Todd with AV Nirvana, and I brought back Sonny. You're back for round two.
What's going on, my friend?
How's it going?
I'm ready.
We didn't scare you off last time. I'm glad you're back.
Not hardly. Yeah. I love punishment, man. What you talking about?
That's exactly right. Well, yeah, our last show we had THX on. If you all didn't check that out, they came on and talked with PixelGen about their new HDMI cables. And Sonny, I think you bought some of those after.
I did. I got them hooked up. They're rocking and rolling, doing a good job.
What'd you think?
Yeah, I like them. So,
yeah, you buy a whole set for your rig?
Everything I have HDMI is THX PixelGen now. So, yep.
Awesome. Yeah, very convincing story they have, and I've got the review all wrapped up. I just have to record it. So give them the stamp of approval. Fantastic pieces of equipment. So
I agree.
That was a lot of fun. Before we dig into today's subject, I just want to mention to everybody out there that friend of the show, friend of our website, and friend of our guest, Brett Bjorquist, he runs Market Maker and also a website, or I guess it's a YouTube channel called Facnatics, like FAQ Natics. It's a new YouTube channel that he is starting up. And he has a giveaway going right now in conjunction with a review that he just published on the Bowers & Wilkins PX7 S2E headphones. Have you ever checked those out before, Sonny?
I have not.
You should check out his review. I've read the written review, and we're going to have links to that review over on our website, I think in just a day or two. But he was actually part of the team that developed these headphones right before 2020 and the pandemic came, and he left Bowers & Wilkins. But it's a really interesting review because he has a lot of backstory to the product itself.
Well, I'll definitely give it a read.
Yeah, definitely. And there is a video component to it. Like I said, it's up on YouTube right now. If during our conversation over the next 45 minutes, I have a sec, I'll hop over there and find it and drop it into the chat for everybody. But he is giving away a pair of the headphones, and there's some information about that on Facnatics on YouTube, and you can also find it on our website. Like I said, hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have links to how you can enter to win a pair of these really nice headphones. So good on him for getting that out. And everybody out there, if you haven't subscribed to Facnatics, please do so, because I know he's trying to get up to about 1,000 followers on YouTube by the end of this month. So let's help him get there. So, Sonny, what are we talking about today?
Well, I think we're talking about the Midwest audio video experience, MWAVE.
Yeah, have you been?
The shows? No, I've never been to that one. I've been to a few, Axpona a couple of times, Rocky Mountain Audio Fest, which I think that one dissolved now, maybe.
Yes, it has.
Capital City, I met you up there, and
that's right.
Silver Springs, Maryland.
That's right.
Lone Star Audio Fest and Tampa. I went last year to Tampa, but I'm looking forward to this one. This is a little bit different, so probably more home theater oriented than your normal shows, which have a lot of stereo rooms. But really looking forward to it. It just seems like it's a lot of different, a good bit different than your other shows that you attend.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I think as we're going to find out,
so.
It's not about selling product, but about the experience.
Right. Exactly.
Which is pretty cool. I'm super disappointed to be missing it. Going to be out of town. So I guess vacation always comes first with family.
You gotta put family first. That's right.
That's right. But anyway, our guest today is Michael Stevens. Everybody out there, I'm sure you know this guy right here. Goes by Youthman, which I'm interested in hearing about the backstory on that. But Michael, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, Todd, Sonny, thanks for inviting me, man. Pleasure.
Good to have you. Yes, sir.
I would be hard pressed to say that you have to introduce yourself here, but why don't you introduce yourself just in case somebody watching isn't aware of who you are or what you're up to in the world of home theater?
Sure. Most people know me by Youthman. You can call me Michael, Mike, doesn't matter. I answer to it all. Some people even say Steven because they think my last name, so I answer to it pretty much all. But been a passionate home theater enthusiast since days of Dolby Pro Logic, and
Wow.
started a YouTube channel in January of 2018, focusing on home theater because that's my big passion.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2020 went full time. And so I just make content on home theater. I do home theater tours, travel. I've traveled all over the world, doing some of those. Started an event we'll talk about in a little bit called MWAVE a couple years ago for home theater enthusiasts. And but yeah, man, I'm just trying to have fun. I'm trying
You're
to get
brave.
people,
You're a brave man.
yeah, it's a big step. I mean, everything in my life I've had to be kind of self-taught. So audio, video, camera equipment, video editing, website development. But I find that all of this is kind of a culmination of where I'm at right now. So
Mhm.
everything kind of built on each other over the years. And so, like I said, I'm just trying to have some fun. The guys in the chat, a lot of these I know, some of them are my patrons, some of them have been to MWAVE. Some of them are good friends that I've had a chance to meet and be in their homes. So to me, it's really about the community more than about the gear. I love the gear, man. I love talking stereos and home theater equipment, projectors and subwoofer, love bass. But at the end of the day, it's really about the people, the relationships you build along the way, the friendships, the camaraderie. To me, that's what gets me excited.
I've watched several of your videos. You do a really good job. Professional, no doubt.
I
No
appreciate
doubt.
it. Well, don't look at my old videos because they stink. I mean, they're hot trash. I mean, they really are.
Brad, you got to cut your teeth somehow, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you got to
again,
get started.
you got to start somewhere, and you start with what you have. And as you begin to build a business and as you begin to get a little bit of income from YouTube, then you can put back into the business and buy better equipment or buy, some lights or buy a camera or microphones so that you actually sound decent,
Yeah.
But man, sadly enough, my most viewed video has like 1.1 million views.
Wow.
Horrible lighting. I mean, I look green on it or something. I mean, the color science on that camera at that time was garbage. It was a Nikon, I think a D7100. Great photography camera, but it was a pitiful videography camera. I didn't have any good lighting. My microphone was trash, but it's my most viewed video. I'm like, really? So,
That's great.
That's the way it works. But it was just teaching people how to set up a home theater, just really a fundamental basic type video. But yeah.
Do you have a background in engineering or electronics?
No, sir. Zero of that. So the short version of Youthman is the name Youthman came from being a youth pastor for 23 years.
Awesome.
So I was a student pastor, worked in 3 different churches. I had one here in Florida for 4 years part-time, moved to Alabama 4 years full-time, and then moved back to Florida. I think I served there for like 13 years. And then I was honestly, I was just getting too old to be hanging out with teenagers. We'd have like 300 teenagers. We'd rent like a trampoline park. I don't know if you guys have those, but it's where they have a big warehouse. There's probably 20, 30 trampolines are connected to each other. Some of them, you've got foam pits that you can jump into and do flips into. And, so we would have all the area churches, get all the student ministries in the area to come to this event. And we would do it from like, let's say 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. It was an all-night lock-in at this trampoline park. And here I am like in my 40s going, man, this is tough. Me and Sonny were talking backstage, like, it's getting harder as we get older, to do some of the things.
Wait till you get in your 60s, yeah.
So really, it started to change in my life, and I really just didn't know why or where I was headed. And I just began to pray about it and say, all right, God, what do you want from me? Like, what direction are we going? And he just made it really clear that it was no longer a youth ministry, but he had another plan. And so we started going down this road. And like I said, in 2018, began to grow the channel. And in January 2020, I just felt like he was saying, all right, it's time. And that was the beginning of a pandemic, man. But it was awesome. It was it was literally a step of faith and just trusting God that he'd provide, and he did.
You always been into audio video when did you start?
Yeah. So mine goes back to car audio days. Well, actually even before that. So as long as I can remember, I've always had a 2-channel speaker system in my bedroom. I had like a little Iowa system back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Tape deck. I don't even think I had a CD player, but it had a tape deck, 2 little speakers. Then later on, I got a Techniques speakers. So it was like a 3-way with I think it had a 10-inch woofer in it. So my parents were going nuts. They're like, I'm cranking it as a probably 12-year-old, 13, 14-year-old, pounding the bass every chance I get. And then when I got older and into college, right before college, I was married, worked for Circuit City, worked there for a year, got that Circuit City employee discount. So I picked I bought my first surround sound system. So that was let me see if I can remember it. It was a Pioneer Dolby Pro Logic receiver, 5 Polk audio speakers, and a Velodyne 10-inch subwoofer. And that was my first introduction into home theater. Of course, Top Gun was out about that time. And so Laserdisc was out. And, I just loved all that stuff. I loved electronics. I loved all the gear. So being able to go to work playing with those toys was just like a dream come true. The problem is we were pretty much commission based. And I had a newborn son. And my income was like this, like a stinking roller coaster. One week I'd do well, and the next week it'd be here, and the next week it'd be up here. And I just needed more consistency. So then I worked for Progressive Insurance as a trainer, did that for 2 years. I think the first year I was a call center rep. The next year I was a trainer. But I've always had a stereo speaker system. When my wife got married, I had a speaker system. Anytime we would move, I would unpack those and set up the speakers in the living room and the TV first. And she's like, we got all these bedrooms. We
important thing in the house.
We got to put the bed together. I'm like, yeah, but we could put the bed together faster and more enjoyable if we had some tunes going on while we're doing it.
I like this.
Yeah. So that was, it's just always been my passion. It started off in just music and home audio. Then went to home theater. In high school, I had a little really small system because I was dirt poor working at Ponta Grossa. And so I ended up buying like a Sony head unit, 212s. I couldn't afford kicker at the time. So I bought these, I think they were Cadence 12s. Had an old Rockford Fosgate Punch 45 amplifier. But like I said, I've just always enjoyed sound. I've always enjoyed, especially when I heard my first surround sound. I would go to, there was a place in Tampa called Sound Advice. And so I would go over there as a teenager. When I hit 16, I'd be over there every single weekend, just going through their demo rooms, just kind of dreaming like, man, it'd be great to one day have something like this. But, I'm just a poor 16-year-old that makes minimum wage, $4.25 an hour. I'll probably never own something like this. So I'll just keep coming here every weekend. But that's really where the passion began. And then, as I began to get older, I began to buy some used equipment to save some money on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp and Let Go and all that stuff. And then, the channel came along, and then I began to, we moved in our home, or this home 18 years ago, and it had a media room. And I'm like, what, this would be cool to be, a little theater room. So I built a little theater room, and it's been a work in progress for 18 years.
Yeah. It's a fun journey though, right?
Yes. It's all about the journey. I share that all the time with my audience. And it's just a phrase that I've always said, enjoy the journey. To me, it's not about getting to a destination. It's about the process. It's about the fun. It's about the excitement of learning. It's about, the excitement of building and sharing that journey with other people, friends and family members that are into it as well.
Mhm.
You know, bringing people into your home theater for the first time and you crank it up and they're like, I didn't know this was possible. This is crazy. It's better than our local theater kind of thing. And, you know, they're hearing stuff they've never heard. And, you know, just seeing the smile on their face and they're feeling the bass in their chest and their legs and they're going, this is crazy, man. This is fun. I'm like, well, that's why we build it.
When you were growing up, you probably never thought about you'd have something that sounded better than the movie theaters, right?
No, my thought, Sonny, was that, especially a dedicated theater room, that's only for rich people.
Yeah.
And I've come to learn that's not the case. You can have a cool home theater. Like I said, I've traveled all over the world, mostly in the US, but occasionally even to the Philippines. But I've seen people do some really cool home theaters in a bedroom, 12 by 13 foot bedroom with a 120-inch projection screen, an 18-inch subwoofer built into the wall because it can't fit in the room.
Mhm.
You know, all in wall speakers, 4 theater seats across. Couldn't get behind the theater seats, you know, because it's wall to wall. But they did the best with what they had. And I've always been an advocate. The guys in the chat, you know, I tell them, I'm like, look, enjoy what you've got. If you got a soundboard, rock it out. You got a 2.1 system, enjoy it. And then over time, as funds become available and as you find some good Youthman deals, some really cheap stuff, or you get that raise, or you're at a different place in life, or like for us, some of the kids start leaving the house and income starts getting better because you're not paying for them as much anymore.
Does it though?
It's not really, because now we got college and we're still paying for trips a lot of times when we do these family trips, but it's one of those things where, you know, just enjoy what you have. And I just do it. I do my best to celebrate all of them. I just came back from a really high end. I did $1 million Star Wars home theater tour on my channel last year.
Mhm.
Well, his father-in-law, like 500 feet from him, and he wanted one. He saw Charlie's and he's like, I want one like that, but I want it Western themed. And so this thing is crazy 20-foot wide screen, you know, Trinoff 32, all Wisdom audio speakers. I mean, it's probably $1 million theater.
Mm.
It's like walking into Walt Disney World. When you go down the hallway, there's stuff going on. You hear people walking above, like you're in a saloon, and you feel like you're in a saloon. And it's
How'd it sound?
It's phenomenal, man.
Really?
It's phenomenal. Yeah. You know, but I love mine too. I don't go home and go, oh man, mine stinks. You know, I love my theater room, and it meets my needs. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a very powerful message about not getting caught up in the race.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've talked about this before, Michael, a lot of it's just in the setup and taking the time to do the setup right.
100%.
And, you know, I think one of the downfalls of having social media and things like YouTube is that people do get sucked into that feel of like, wow, what I have isn't good enough.
Correct.
You know, it's not a Storm Audio, it's not a Trinoff. Because so much of that is just thrown in your face every time you turn a corner, right?
Yeah. And I feel guilty. So, because sometimes I'll talk about something like a Mad VR or a Kaleidoscape, and I know those are luxury items.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are. That's what I've been sharing lately on my channel. These are luxury items. They're not meant for the masses. The masses will never own these probably, or at least they won't own them for a long time. But that's not their target audience. And neither is Ferrari. Man, I'd love for Ferrari to come out with a $40,000 car. I'd buy one tomorrow.
Right.
But I have a feeling they're not.
It wouldn't be the same if it's $40,000.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? But
Right.
that's the thing.
No, I know what you mean.
So, but again, I've heard some really cool DIY home theaters that they have built it on a really tight budget, and they're awesome. You know?
I did that. I started out that way. So
Yeah.
just had to build over time.
That's correct. Mine's 8. And you know, it's hard for people, especially the new ones to my channel. They may look at mine and go, man, your speakers cost $3,500 a piece. I can't afford that. All right, go back and watch my, I have a video called something like Youthman's Journey. If you search for that on YouTube, dude, I take you back to when this theater room started. And I had a 19-inch TV on top of a tote, like a tote that you put in your garage to put like picture frames and stuff in. So I got the TV sitting on that. My receiver's on the floor because I don't have any kind of rack. And I got 2 speakers and I think a subwoofer and a PS3, I believe. That was my Blu-ray player. So, I mean, it's like.
That's about what I had. I had a ProScan TV
Yes.
sitting on this little unpainted IKEA wood crate, essentially.
I started out with Mitsubishi. So, hey.
Yeah.
The tube TV.
The tube.
They go huge.
Oh,
tubes.
Boy. Those were so heavy, too.
They were. They took up a lot of space.
They sure
you have
did.
A real deep cabinet for those.
Oh, yeah. I almost got killed by a 27-inch or maybe it was a 32-inch tube TV. I think that thing must have weighed 110 pounds.
Sure.
Carrying it up some steps, and that thing took me backwards.
It'd be hard to do.
Yep. So that's cool. So you've been at the YouTube thing for about 6 years.
6 years
now,
correct.
essentially.
Yep.
And what brought you to this next step? Because, here Sonny had mentioned Capital Audio Fest. That's a local audiophile show here, mainly 2-channel stereo show here in the DC area. And Sonny, that was probably what, 2013 when we met there?
Well,
2012
had to be back before 2014 because that's when we sold Home Theater Shack.
Okay, so maybe like 2010, somewhere in there. But they struggled for years and years to build, and I know it was a real pain for them. So what possessed you to do that to yourself? That's what I'm really curious about, because that's a big step to take, what you're doing with MWAVE.
Again, it's another one of those step of faith kind of things. So it all started, I did a home theater tour. So I had been doing these all the past 6 years, but they were all local. I'd find somebody like Nick is in the chat. I filmed his home theater tour, and there's others in this area, and I would just go to their home because it's local, and I'd film it. I'd share it with my audience. Here's their story. Here's their equipment. Here's what they learned from it, kind of thing. So there was a gentleman, Tony. Actually, I'll back up. I had a chance to fly up to visit JTR headquarters, filmed that. While I was there, I had a chance to hear, which is in the chat, Scott Newby with Scott and Cat, or Living with Scott and Cat podcast. Went to visit his home theater. It was a JTR system. Went to visit Tony, which is known as SOWK in the AVS forum. Fell in love with that. Came back home, and Tony said, "Hey, if you liked, visiting mine and Scott's, I would be willing to kind of organize. We've got a group of people that we do home theater crawls every month. So one month it'll be at my house. The next month it'll be at Todd's house. The next month it'll be at Sonny's house. And we just invite the local guys to come over and hang out and do demos and, talk about home theater." And he said, "We've got that kind of relationship here and that network. I'd be willing to line up a series of tours. I know you do one here and one there and one there, but what if we did like several of them during a trip?" So Tony lined it up, and he asked his community, "Hey, Youthman wants to come up sometime in this month. How many of y'all be willing?" So at first there were 4, and then there were 6, and then there were 8. And he would email me back and be like, "Hey, Michael, I think we need to add another day, because we're at 2 days." And so it ended up being a 3-day period. And I filmed, no lie, 12 home theater tours in 3 days.
A lot of work.
It was 6 a.m. and we would get back. We would start at 6 a.m., get back usually like 1 in the morning, and turn around and do it again the next day. It was insane. Never do that again. That's dumb. But I came home from that, and Tony's like, "Hey, if you enjoyed this one, if we didn't wear you out, I know some buddies down in Kansas City that they've got a cool group. I'll hook you up with Jonathan Von England, and he's a member of our podcast on the AV Experience podcast, and I'll hook you up with him. And I'm sure he would do the same thing that I just did. So he lined them up, and I did 9 in 3 days in Kansas City. One of those was Ryan Charpentier. And Ryan, after I filmed his, he said, "Hey, Michael, I'm going to be doing a projector comparison or projector shootout, inviting some guys over into my basement, and we'll have a handful of projectors. We'll put them side by side on screens, and we'll do some A/B comparisons to see what's the difference between a Sony and a JVC or an Epson or a BenQ." I said, "That sounds like fun." So I flew back up in January of 20. What would that have been? January of 2022. And after that event, it was just a weekend thing, 1-day event. And I said, "Ryan, this was so much fun. Like, I've never experienced anything in home theater like this. This was cool, very hands-on. And where can you go to see a JVC right next to a Sony and right next to an Epson? How do the old ones compare to the new ones, kind of thing?" I said, "This was awesome. What if we opened this up to like my community and invited them to join us? But of course, we can't fit everybody in your basement. What would that look like?" And so in January of 2022, he and I began to make plans. And so I got on a flight. And by the time I got on the flight, we had already decided we're going to do this thing, make it happen. I got home, I built the website, designed the logo. We began to contact the vendors that I knew over the past couple years and said, "Hey, we're looking at doing a home theater show. I've been to some other shows, but they're all 2-channel, every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have maybe a room or 2 or 3 or 4 home theaters, but it's just all 2-channel. And so we're wanting to do something different in this space. And so we want to provide home theater experiences. And so at the show, we began to set up physical, like full Dolby Atmos systems and home theater experiences. So different brands would sometimes even partner. Like this year, we've got 6 Dolby Atmos home theaters inside this venue at the Kansas City Convention Center. But the other thing is, I'm thinking, okay, well, Kansas City has this great community. They've got some amazing home theaters. What if we kind of partnered with the homeowners, and if they would be gracious enough to let people into their home to experience their home theater? That would be awesome. Because what I found in some polls on my channel, as well as polls during MWAVE and during Audio Advice Live, half of my audience and pretty much half the people, when you poll them, they say, "I've never experienced a home theater other than my own."
Mm-hmm.
And when I polled another question, "How many of you never experienced Dolby Atmos?" And half the people said they've never experienced Dolby Atmos. So we began to see a need in the community. We don't have a home theater show. A lot of people don't have access to home theaters to see, not so they can see how theirs compares, but just to see how other people did it. And you learn from that. You learn, Todd, you were mentioning about calibration. Some people don't know how to calibrate their subwoofers. And so when you do this, you're able to kind of, through the community, to learn from each other. And you may go to somebody's house and experience tactile transducers for the first time, or a massive screen. You may have a TV in your living room. You're like, "Holy cow, I didn't know you could experience a beautiful image from a projector. I always thought they would be grainy and, just not as good." So you see that and you're like, so we wanted to provide that. We wanted to provide education through like seminars and tech talks. So we're doing, I think this year we've got 13 of those that are going to take place. So that's really where the heartbeat. I saw a need in the community. It was a whole lot of fun, doing this projector comparison. And then that was the other thing. We try to put some things. It's a fine line because, manufacturers don't want you putting them against their competitors sometimes. Sure. But we as the brand can do that because it's our room. We have a room for MWAVE, and okay, we may take some cables, some high-end cables and literally a coat hanger. We did that last year. And we compared them, blind A/B comparisons. We had a turntable behind a screen, and I think there was probably 6 or 7 different bookshelf speakers playing in mono. And how does a Martin Logan compare to a Polk Audio, to a Klipsch, to a Arundel? So we wanted to provide that. So we're just trying to do some things that are different, and that has a lot of challenges, because there's no playbook. There's no instruction manual to go, all right, step one of building a AV event is this, and step two is this. And so each year we just learn from the previous year, and every year I ask my audience or the attendees to fill out a feedback form to say, hey, what do we do well? What can we do better? And each year we take that feedback seriously, and we do our best to improve on the next show.
Awesome. And you've kept the component of visiting outside home theaters or private home theaters
Correct.
in with the show, but how's that working? So you have about, it looks like about 9 or 10 offsite visits that people can do. How do you orchestrate that?
Sure. The short version is we've partnered with, I think there's 7 on our website. So you can go to Midwest AV Experience, go to the attend, and then drop down to home theater experiences. And on there's 7 different home theaters in that area. I've even got a map that shows you, okay, here's the convention center. Here's how far number 1 is. Here's how far number 2. So if you're planning it out, you can say, okay, I could go to this one, and then I wouldn't have too far to drive to this one, but I'd be willing to drive to this one because it has this. And so let's just say, for instance, if it was Todd and Sonny's, so I'd have a page for Todd. It would show everything in your home theater, from your projector, size room, all of your equipment. And so as a consumer attending MWAVE, I may look at your setup and go, man, I've been eyeballing that Sony 7000 projector, and I'd love to see it in person. And his room is about the size of the one that I want to build. And so I'd love to experience that. And so they'd be willing to pay $200 to attend your home theater.
Oh, wow.
And then they look at Sonny's and go, man, I'd like to attend Sonny's too, because he's got those tactile transducers. And I've been thinking about adding them, but I don't know if they're gimmicky. You know what I mean? I want to experience that. And so we have 3 different time slots on Thursday. So that's the day before the show starts on Friday. So Thursday morning, there's, let's just say, an AM time slot for 2.5 hours. There's a mid-afternoon time slot for 2.5 hours. And then there's an early evening for 2.5 hours. And so each one have about an hour in between. That way people can travel, have time to get from one to the next. So an attendee could purchase 1, they could purchase 2, or they could purchase 3, attend these on Thursday, and then come to the show Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Or they can pick it. They could technically do the home theater tours or home theater experience, what we're calling them now, and not even come to the show. Or they can come to the show and not do any of the theaters. And then what we've done to really just say thank you to those homeowners is we're splitting that revenue 50-50 with them. And so every person that, and here's the other thing. So let's say, Todd, you've got 6 theater seats. So you can only have 6 guests in the AM, 6 guests in the mid-afternoon, and 6 guests in the PM. And Sonny, you've got 8 in yours. So you could do 8 in the morning, 8 in the mid-afternoon, 8 in the evening. And that way we give a very personalized experience. We don't, because last year we had people standing up in the back, and it's just not you know what I'm saying? We want everyone to have a good seat and more intimate. Yeah. So we let's make this more intimate, but because we're opening this up to a lot more people now, because, we could technically do 6 times 3. So Todd could have 18, and Sonny could have 8 times 3 is 24 people. It just opens it up to more people being able to have access, versus the previous year they paid a lot more, but they got all of them. So now they can kind of a la carte per se. So it's cheaper, and they can pick and choose what they want. And we did 4, I think it was 4 last year. The previous year. Last year. And that was really hard to be able to do 4 home theater tours in one day. Again, that was some feedback we got from attendees, is that was fun, but man, I was exhausted. I went to 4 home theaters, and I was there all day from early morning to late at night. And again, we're just trying to make a better experience for our audience. But that's just how we partnered with these enthusiasts to share their passion and their home theater with our audience and our attendees.
It's a lot to take in, getting hammered by video and audio all day.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
exhausting.
Definitely a unique approach, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, this is something nobody's ever tried. And so we're basically taking some steps of faith and going, okay, will people even enjoy this? Is there a need? Is there a demand? And what we found is when we launched it on day one, I think Ryan, now he only has 6 seats. He has 3 seats in the front and that's it. And so he had 3 in the morning and he could only do 2 time slots in the evening. So his was like Wednesday night and Thursday night late, like 7 to 9, because he'll be busy at the show setting up, helping vendors. So he only had 6 seats, but his sold out in like literally the first hour. And then Jonathan sold out, I think, in 5 hours. And Jonathan has 8 seats. So he has 24 slots that sold out in 5 hours.
Wow.
And we had another one sell out probably in the first week. So a lot of them have sold out. We still have some availability though, because we got a lot of seats. I think all of the PM slots are sold out. So we don't have any in the evening, but we have some in the middle of the day and then some in the early morning.
No pressure on the owners.
Well, so think about this.
Because I know exactly what would happen in my house. Something would go wrong.
Yeah,
Video feed's not coming through. You know how that goes. I've had it happen when friends come over and
So think about this though. What better place than to be surrounded by people who get it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're going to come to your house and go, yep, that same thing happens every time a guest comes over to my house. Hit watch a movie and nothing happens, or the projector doesn't come on. Then I got to figure out what the heck, or my input didn't switch.
So let me ask you a question about the actual show.
Yeah.
So JTR, Jeff, has a room there, and I'm assuming he had a room last year.
He did. Yes, sir.
Did he do the 140 dB demo last year?
No, that was something new that he wanted to add for this year.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes me back to the old car audio days when we used to do the car crank off and 140 dB. That hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, in a big room like that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Think the point of it is, and of course, he's just showcasing what his speakers and subwoofers are capable of. Now he's bringing a big system. He's bringing 8 of his Captivator ULF 4000s. So those have dual 18s in them. So he's got 16 18-inch woofers in this room. But these are big rooms. They're like 40 foot by 30 foot. I think 15-foot ceiling. So it's a lot of cubic volume to fill.
Yeah, I got a pair of those in my room. A pair of the TLs like he had. Like he's and I have 6 of the Captivator 2400s. But the TLs are the actual LFE subs, and then the other 6 are in the Storm audio system, or the support subs. So I can imagine in my little old room how crazy it is, but him and the way he's going to set this up is going to be incredible. And you have to sign a waiver.
Correct. I mean, a waiver, and he's providing the earplugs for you.
I was going to say,
how are you going to hear it if you got to wear earplugs? I mean,
it's not even about hearing. So some people
feel.
Yeah, you'll see Scott Newby in the chat. He has 150 dB. I think it's like 150. Scott, let me know in the chat. It's 150 plus dB in his room, and I've been to his home many times. And it's, of course, these guys aren't listening to that. This is literally, it's kind of like when you see the car audio when they do the hair trick with the girls, they stick their head in the, it's literally, it's just an experience to feel that amount of pressure.
Yeah.
It's wild.
A jet taking off is about 115 dB. Is that right?
I don't even know.
I think it is.
It's loud.
So 140, I mean, you best open your mouth.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a bomb going off.
I had a truck that did 140, and I'm telling you right now, it hurts.
Yeah. And that's why we want them to, we want them to be safe. At no point are we saying this is what you need to be listening to. This is just one, and he's only doing it for like 3 minutes. So
do you know what he's playing with that?
No idea. Yeah. It's funny. Michael says, he said last year the convention center was shaking. It was. Yeah.
There we go. Jack says,
140 is a jet engine. Yeah.
Yeah.
140. He
Yeah,
used to be a jet
115
mechanic.
sounded a little low.
Yeah. So
It's just
yeah,
too
what's 25 decibels?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get to about 110 in my room, and that's about all I can stand.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the point that he's trying to make too is that, okay, if I'm capable of cleanly playing at 150, my system, my speakers, my subwoofers, they pretty much can handle whatever you want to throw at them.
Mhm.
You know, if you're watching at reference volume, which is a safe volume, if you're playing down to 10 hertz or 8 hertz or 5 hertz, my subwoofers aren't going to give out because I just showed you I can do it at 150 dB and it still be clean. They're
Right.
not going to crack under pressure. Hope
And,
it plays
and
NG.
Jeff has come up with a design that is incredible for subwoofers, I can tell you.
Yeah.
This is some kind of sub.
Yeah, we've got some great manufacturers this year that are doing those full demos. We've got Martin Logan. They're going to do a full home theater experience. SVS is doing one. They've partnered with NFM, Nebraska Furniture Mart.
Cool.
We've got a Sendo is coming this year, which I'm really excited about.
Awesome.
They're doing a full theater. We've got JTR. We have, oh man, testing my brain here. Who am I missing, chat? I got to go to my brands page on the website. Grimani Systems this year. That's exciting. This will be the first time that we've had them. They're partnering with Absolute Ultimate AV. They're going to have a Christie projector in there.
Oh, wow.
Seymour screen, Kaleidoscape, Trinob, MadVR. That's going to be a phenomenal room for sure.
What's the biggest sub that Ascendo's bringing?
Ascendo's bringing the 30, I believe.
30, okay.
Let me go to their,
pretty cool.
Yeah, let me go to their page. Everything's laid out on the website. They are bringing the 32 is what they're bringing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be
interesting.
And that'll be in their 2-channel room. That's not even they're going to do their new 16 in the home theater room.
Oh, cool.
So they have 2 rooms. They've got one that's a 2-channel setup with the Black Swans and with the 32-inch sub. And then they'll do another, like a theater room with their, and I want to say their 16-inch sub, I believe. And they'll be partnering with Storm Audio, Christie, Seymour, MadVR.
I'd like to hear those Black Swans. That's the ones Ryan's getting right. Yeah.
They're beautiful. They really.
I just heard those a couple weeks ago. Yeah. Just really phenomenal gear.
Yeah.
They're making a big push in the US.
Correct.
Right now. So
a lot of these brands are. I think, we've got Arendal, we've got Ascendo. You've been hearing a lot about them lately. Shane Lee does a lot of videos with them. There's a lot that are coming over here, which is great because it's more products for the consumer to choose from.
For sure.
It's more options.
Yeah, we were talking about the expensive side of things, though. Unfortunately, they fall into that uber expensive category. Not too many people have 37 grand to drop on a 32-inch sub.
No, for sure. And the thing is, I guess the thought behind MWAVE 2 is we want to provide several things. We want to provide experiences that you really can't get anywhere else. So where can the average consumer go to hear an Ascendo system? They can't.
They can't. Yeah.
Cedia is dealers. You got to have an in to go as a guest with somebody, or you have to have a connection. So we're trying to provide those opportunities, but I don't want to forget the guys that can't afford that. And I want all brands there, man. That's why Martin Logan, they're going to have a super affordable. Now, I'm not saying it's cheap, but any hobby, if you're really serious about it, whether it's cars, whether it's hunting, whether it's fishing, it doesn't matter. All the stuff costs money. If you're a fisherman, you got to have a boat, you got to have a trailer, you got to have a truck to pull it. None of that stuff's cheap, especially in today's economy. Got to put gas in it. That ain't cheap. You know what I mean? So we're all spending money on something. But SVS is going to have a full system there. That's affordable. We've got in Kincaid's room, they're going to be having some clip speakers. I think they've got Focal in their room. Some of their budget-friendly stuff. So really, there's something for everybody. And that's the great thing, is that you may not ever own a Barco, but we're going to have some BenQ projectors there. But where can you go to see a Christie that's a $80,000 projector or a $100,000 projector. You may not ever buy one. I probably will never ever own a Christie. But I'll be honest, man, I love every Christie experience I get.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
You know, I
something
can
to behold.
appreciate a Ferrari, even though I probably will never own one. You know, so that's
Yeah.
again, it's just about providing those cool experiences for people to have fun with.
That's really awesome.
I'm looking forward to it.
I think you guys are going to be in for a treat, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to join this year. I'll be on the other side of the world.
But you'll be with your family, and like I said,
with
man,
family.
family always comes first.
I agree
Always.
100% on that. That's
Always comes another event.
Yep. Next year, hopefully next year. Are you thinking about June again next year? Is that
we haven't
pretty
set a
much
date? It's funny because like every year we take a breath and we're like, we're not talking about MWAVE for at least 2 weeks. And of course, on the ride home, we're talking about dates and this and that. So,
oh, for sure.
Every year is like, we just got to get through. Once we get through, we can take a breath and figure out, okay, what's the next step?
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, we're bumping up on our time limit here. What about tickets?
Mhm.
Where can people go to get information about getting tickets to your event?
Yeah, so we have a huge website that I looked at it today. I think I've got over 100 pages total, like product pages. There's these experience pages. There's, information. The easiest way to find it is just MidwestAVExperience.com. On the homepage, if you go to the menu at the top, go under attend, and under attend, you can see everything. You see the seminars that we offer. You can see all the brands that'll be there, the experience rooms that'll be there. The ticket link it's really easy to find. You can purchase the 3-day access pass for $75. That gets you access to everything at the convention center. So that's all of these experience rooms from Gramani Systems and SVS and so forth. All the comparison rooms, the seminars, all that's included in that 3-day pass.
That's really affordable.
And then if you want to purchase the home theater, we call them the VIP home theater experiences, that takes place the day before on Thursday. So those are just a la carte. So you can pick one, you can buy 2, or you can buy 3. That's just in addition to the 3-day pass.
How many people you expect this year?
So last year we like with everybody, we're talking all the vendors, attendees. The first year we had 83 total. Last year we barely crossed 300. I think this year we're just over 300 with about a month to go, a little bit less than a month to go.
Yep.
And like every day we got more people registering because we're all procrastinators and we wait till last minute. So if I had to guess, it's going to be 350 to 400, but that's a total guess. We had 50 people register last year from, let's say, 2 days before the event all the way up to Sunday. I had a guy show up Sunday and he said, "Hey, I know we only got 2 hours left, but can I buy a ticket?" I went, "Come on."
That's cool. So no on-site registration necessarily. There's no on-site ticket registration or purchasing going on.
So
this is all you want people to buy before they can.
They can show up. Of course, we'd love for you to like buy them early so we know like how better to, because I have a volunteer meeting tonight. And we're figuring out, okay, how many people do we need for the registration table? And how many people do we need for this and helping the vendors? So the more we know up front on attendance wise, the more we can better be prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
But we got food trucks that are going to be there this year. So you can go out and get some lunch outside, right outside the venue. So you can hit it real quick, bring it in, eat it, and go back to your demos.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to make it a great experience for everybody. But yeah. Best thing to do is just head to the website, MidwestAVExperience.com, and all the details, tickets. And of course, you can reach out on the website or hit me up on Facebook. And I answer pretty quick. Usually it's like, if you email me, I'm the one that you're not getting my associate, my assistant. I don't have one. It's me. I'll reply to you and say, "Hey, thanks so much for your question." I answered somebody today. They were asking about accessibility. Would it be like mobile scooters there? I gave them the contact for the venue because because that would really be on them, not necessarily us providing that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it, man.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have a great time for sure, man. We'd love to have you guys. I'm glad you're gonna get a chance to experience Sunny, and you can rub it in Todd's face and tell him.
That's right. Well,
I'll be
I'm sure
texting
he's
you
gonna-
guys. What's
I'm
happening?
sure he's
What's
going to
happening?
be having a good time where he's at, no doubt. So,
Yeah. One thing we're working on too is we know that it's an expensive event. I mean, let's face it. If you have to travel, you got a flight, you got a hotel. Even if you drive, it's still an expense. There's the $75 for the. I mean, that's like the least expensive thing. Your food will cost you more than that for the weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
But all of those things add up, and so we get that. So one thing we're doing this year, and I'm still working on the details, but we're going to make it happen. Is I've contracted and hired a videographer to help me with filming as many of the seminars as we can and the tech talks. And then we're going to offer those for people if they want to have access to that. We'll have a digital access pass to, I don't know, 8 seminars, and some of them are from guys like Gramani, talking about theater design, and guys like Brett Borkus is going to be providing some seminars, and Matthew Pose, and just some really great industry leaders, and then the brand owners. They're not just like Gary Blouse is leading one not on Storm Audio but on I think it's like Theater 101 or something, like theater design. So it's educational stuff, and so people that can't attend physically, we at least want to provide them with an option. I just still got to figure out all that, because there's a lot of cost involved in hiring these guys to film it, and then I've got to edit those, and then we got to have a platform that they can get access to that and purchase those. So there's still a lot to do. And Ariel said some content creators are going to be streaming on their channels. So FOMO will be there again this year. They're doing the TV comparison, and Brian Meath from Brian's Tech Therapy. So, yeah.
He's going to be a busy fella.
Yeah, for sure.
No doubt.
Well, I know you got your hands full for the next couple weeks, but I'm sure it's going to go off without a hitch, and look forward to hearing about the feedback that you get from it. It's going to be a good time for you guys.
We're excited, man.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, Michael. Well, thanks so much for joining us for a little while this afternoon, and everybody out there in chat land, thanks for hanging with us. Had a nice, healthy little audience here, so appreciate everybody joining us to hear about this really awesome event that you're pulling together.
Thanks, Michael.
Hey, appreciate
All right.
it.
Seeing you.
Thanks,
all right.
Todd.
We'll catch you soon.
Lord willing, we'll be there. All right.
All right. We'll see you in a few weeks.
All right. Have a good one.
Take care.
If you enjoy content like this, hit like,